This is the 1 hour on BTC USD buy bet, and that's 23,470. And the reason I marked that was because it was a buy to sell right there, a little hidden range. That's why I call them hit.
Ah,
I
okay.
I call them hidden ranges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not trying to be like a reverse engineered or anything, but that's just what makes sense to me.
Right.
And the reason that I marked it, there was a couple of them actually. So if we look back here on like the 4 hour, right, and we look at
Hmm.
what what this whole move right here, this whole sideways consolidation is what a lot of people like to call it. I mean, this is accumulation right here to me. That's what I call this is
Yeah, it looks like
accumulation, you know?
accumulation to me too.
So, what was the initial level that this was fighting to break? So, let me make this a line and then we make this like an orange color. That's kind of close to the red. Let me make it like yellowish. So, this was the level on a lower time frame, I'd say a 1 hour or 15 minute, that it was really fighting to get above. And you can tell that because you can see this all wicks, right? And like even look right here, when these bodies come up and they almost close it, touch it, right? And then they fail, you lose these lows that almost closed over it but didn't.
Right.
All right. And then if we go further, another wick, more failure, more failure. But then, like, bam, like as soon as that thing closes, like it's off, right?
S-
So once that happens, like I will use that range to tell me where are my quarter marks, my one, my
Ooh,
75, my
yes.
50, my 25, my zero. So if I measure that, a lot of things line up to this point right here because this is the level we were fighting to break above, right? Then we
Yep.
lost it. And then if we look, let me delete that real fast just so I can get rid of some of the mess here. Move this one here. Let me make that, yeah, just delete that one there because that's the lower time frame. So we come up right, and then even look right here. This is the first quarter mark. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
freaking
Wow.
bonkers, dude. Look at
So once you found that swing high,
that.
once you've seen that, so you're on a 4 hour, right? So that first
Yep.
distribution candle up there,
Yep.
right when you see that, you're like, yep, this is the swing high to the bottom of the leg that broke the previous high, correct?
Sort of. As soon as it gives me enough information for me to call it a high on that level, and that is kind of a multifaceted thing that I use. So I wouldn't have based it on solely the 4 hour, okay?
Okay.
Because I want to see a little bit more acute of information. I want to see it faster. So at
Mm-hmm.
that point, I would go down in time frames. Like even one is good, and we can see, like over here, when this happens right here, and it comes
Right.
down, right, and then look what it doesn't close above at this point.
Uh,
See it?
what do you, oh, the level? You're looking
Yep,
at the
that
level?
yep.
Yeah.
Because this was the high, and you could really even kind of call it that
Hmm.
to be fair. So this was the high,
Interesting.
and then it came down, and then it came up, but it never closed above that. Still didn't close below that. Didn't even wick it. So I'm like, I'm not interested in a short just yet, right? Now, when it does this, it comes up. Man, we didn't even touch this highest wick, right? And then this one's lower, and then look, we close below that, and it's like boom, comes down, ultimately hits that first quarter,
Yep.
and then comes back up, and it fails to even close anywhere above any bodies on that move down, right? So let's go back to the
Right.
4 hour.
So,
Let's.
so I
You want to
hate
go
that we
back?
have so much terminology,
I
but
know. I know.
this would
Uh,
just be like, ugh, it's just like a failed the gain situation, right? Like
yeah.
you created a
Yeah.
high and now you are no longer creating any higher highs
Right.
on a,
And
yeah, okay.
it's a lot of it for me. Admittedly, is intuitive. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I'm trying my best to really assign kind of descriptions to it, and that's one of the many like benefits to like trying to teach other people things that you know and understand, or not, you know what I mean, like is it helps you understand how to explain what it is that you know, and then when you see you can't explain something well, it helps you to poke holes in that, and you're like, oh man, I thought I really understood that, but when I went to try to tell somebody else, I'm like, I don't understand what the hell, you know what I mean? So then you go back to the drawing board and you reanalyze things, and you're like, oh, okay, now this is what I say, and then I go back and I say it again, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I hone my understanding, and I also I'm able to explain things better that I see, and so on and so forth, right? So we had that level that it was fighting there, right? Which was the 1 hour. So that was the first high right there. Comes down. We don't lose any low, and then we come up and we don't close above that. So that gives this a lot of significance because this is a major relevant
Yeah.
structure level, probably on the 15 minute. I would say. I can almost guarantee it.
Okay. Mm.
Maybe it's the 30. It's one of it. Could be the 1 hour. I didn't measure it, so it could be the 1 hour. All right. Well, it's definitely the 30 minute for sure. So if I measure from this
You use a
high,
30-minute? Hold up. Let me see.
occasionally, you can use a 22 minute. It just depends on what are you trying to use it
How you're
for.
reading it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Obviously, you're going to
I
give
was
much
using
more
12. I used
validity.
12 hours the other day.
Yeah, they have a decent amount of validity, but it all depends on the circumstance, right? Like,
Right.
I
Right. It's
mean,
not
it
always.
just yeah, it just
You
depends,
got
you
to be
know.
ready. So when you
Yep.
understand, yeah, you just got to be ready for that. Same
So
thing, bigger time frame, little time frame.
that's right. It's all the same. You know what I'm saying? Some of them have a more dramatic impact or effect, however you want to put it, and it's solely because more people use them, right? More people
Right.
use those time frames, but like I'm always saying, there's a major mathematical thing going on here, cause and effect, that people I think fail to understand. And I feel like I proved it pretty well in the stream by saying I measured from a low to a high. And before I even knew what that high
That's
was,
just
this
crazy.
was responding to those points. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
that right
Wait,
there.
can you zoom squinch it a little bit and
Yeah.
then the previous high, can you do a fib
Yeah.
from the previous high to the low
Yep.
on that? How would you
Uh huh.
mark that?
Yeah. So you talking about from this high
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
one or the one before it?
Whichever one you would mark for this whole you see this like
Yeah.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
consolidating on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a 1 hour, but
Yeah. Well, but you can still get the same information by squeezing it up,
right.
right?
Right.
You know, like I can limit my information I get by just squeezing the
So
chart
how
up.
so yeah, you found the top because you saw where your purple line is, you saw all
Mm-hmm.
the wicks. You saw there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
resistance there. So this high, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is the move down. Probably
Right.
attacking this that took that out, right?
Right. And what do you think that is right
So
there? Like, I
well,
mean,
this is just a
close
trend
to it.
start to take this out, really.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I was asking, so like, you see, you obviously you see you broke this level
Mm-hmm.
right here, right
Mm-hmm.
here.
Right.
You created this new high.
Mm-hmm.
What created that high, I would say, would be what took this out, which would be ultimately this, but on a lower time frame,
Yeah, that's it
it
right
would be
there.
this
Yeah.
right here,
And
right? So
there's
that's what you're
another one
attacking.
above that and another one above that.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is, there is. So this is all
100%.
micro ranges in there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to get to the fib question. So,
Mm-hmm.
you see there's resistance here. You see it's coming back here. Why would you short that again?
Okay. I got
Because
I got
it's a higher time frame
mhm.
relevant
I got
situation? Or-
I got an idea. We're gonna do it this way, and this is good. Like I like questions like this because it helps me. You know, what were we on? We were on a 1 hour. Okay,
1 hour.
so let me go to BTC USDT, and then we go to the 1 hour reset chart. All right, let me squeeze it up a little bit. And actually, I think this is really kind of better to do on the 4 hour for this range.
I love 4 hour. I
Yeah,
rarely use a 1 hour anymore.
yeah.
Unless
One
I'm looking
hour's
for eh.
Yeah, 1 hour is
I don't even use 1 hour,
it
man. I
just
don't.
it depends on if you're the way I look at it is this. If you're in between an important 4 hour point and an important 15-minute point, the 1 hour can help you predict the future to a
Right.
degree. All time frames are that way, right? Like we use lower time frames to tell us what the higher one is most likely to do
Right.
before it does it. I mean, that's ultimately why we use them. Now, the lower we go, the more accurate we get, the more information we get, but we also face analysis paralysis and we can be overloaded with information and become conflicted, right? Like
Definitely.
oh my
Oh
god,
man.
like there's
It
1700 levels here, like which one, right? So let's do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off right here. Okay?
okay.
And we'll stretch it out a little bit, move it over here, stretch it a little more. Actually, I might have to reset it for it to continue the uptrend or the replay tool. Okay, so let's just say that this is where we're at, right? We know we
Okay.
just took out a low. This was an important low. So we took that out, right? And then these right here are our new important lows on multiple time frames. I would
Right.
argue that this one, this is a 4 hour. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, so this one right here, this little right there, that one to me is the important 4 hour one, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
then we have a new one, which also takes that out. All right. So on and so forth. So let's just say this is where we're at. All right. So what I would do is before this was kind of the, let me make sure this one takes that one out. Okay. So that one's the high. This one comes down here. Okay. So what I would do is this. I would say this, that one takes that one. So let's just say this one is our high. Okay. And then if we come down, that was a smaller time frame. Did you see that? If I pull it right there,
Yeah.
you see how it's reacting
That's
to that
funny.
top one?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Now,
It's crazy.
so
So that would be
high,
the 25%, man.
yeah. So higher time frame, we're gonna say that. Actually, I'm gonna move it to this one first. So we're gonna look at this one just real quick. All right. So this one, it comes down, right? And then it just closes below that. So that's our first sign right there that we're losing this move. So that could be one layer of confluence that we could look for a
Right.
short in here and the move's not done. Okay?
Right.
So now at this point, we can move our low. I think it's to here. So we can
So
move
you
our
use the
low.
wicks and not the bodies, I've noticed. You use the
I
max point,
I
right?
use I use the wicks for the first sign, but I use the bodies for the most part. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I use the bodies. I use the bodies for my breaks of major structure, and
Yes.
then
Okay. That's how I use
yeah,
it too.
and then I
Okay.
use the
Perfect.
wicks for rejection points. Initially, right? Like if I want
Yeah.
to, like if I'm taking profits, I'm gonna count on it hitting a level and it just like wicking it and moving down, right? Like I'm gonna
Right.
take some out at that point. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if we look here, and we'll just skip that one because it's kind of a fractal move. So if we look here and we have this high right here, that's our new relevant high, and this is our new low. Like, look where it comes up again. Boom. And then it comes down, bleeds through that a little bit,
Wow.
and then
That's
comes up.
crazy.
And like you see how it barely, barely closes above that.